This is crazy. I have a little cup that sits on my desk, and it's on my desk, my coffee table, and it's full of little questions that I wrote with a friend one time. There's like 150 questions, and it's just a question deck, except this is like a really ghetto version that we made when I was like 24, and it was kind of before they were out there, and now they're everywhere. But I kept it around because they were questions that we really thought, like we took so much time to think of, pre-chat GPT, pre-everything, where I was like, yeah, like what are some really deep questions that you would want to sit around a room and ask some hard hitters, or ask yourself every once in a while? And anyway, I just pulled a question right before I started this video, and the question I was asked is, have you ever regretted letting someone go? Well, welcome to the channel, my friends. Yeah, so if you've been following along the last few days, it feels like a lifetime. You know that I went through what I thought was going to be the end of my relationship because we weren't getting to the same vision together. And I figured that's when you got to let go. And I was trusting my body because there was no vision that I couldn't, if there's no vision on his end, there's no vision in general. And eventually we got to a place where he came and literally offered everything that I needed him to say. And we took a step back in our relationship. He actually moved out, and now we're going back to dating. Like, we're still in a relationship, but we have this beautiful, like, really sacred format that I think we rushed through in the beginning anyway, where we just kind of, we got into a relationship, and then we moved in fairly soon after, about 6 months in, and it was too fast. It was too fast for my nervous system. It was too fast for how much we have to do on our own as individuals. And we have big goals. And this is also what I was hoping from him, is that I would hear those big goals that are his and not just ours. And it's happening. So, gosh, as somebody who's formerly very codependent and people-pleasing and struggled to have my own sovereignty and autonomy, I'm super dedicated now to not self-abandoning. And it's been really, really amazing because normally my relationship takes precedent over everything. And in this relationship, I will say, I think it's been very healthy. We've had a really strong social life, we've had hobbies, but a lot of those things are also together. We have the same friend circle, we do the same things for fun, which makes this awesome. And it was hard to focus on things like my career and the things that I really want to accomplish in this lifetime. I was doing them, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always say that in the beginning of a relationship, there's kind of a delinquency that happens, and we all just kind of like fall in love and like jerk off, like in all the ways. And like, I am a driven, ambitious person who really wants to make shit happen. And I think both of us started to just put everything else first. And for a time being, it was beautiful. But I found that there was a big imbalance, and needed both of us to up level ultimately. And this feels like the absolute best thing we could have done, because now I'm here in my own space, in my own energy, 5 days out of the week. And oh my gosh, I feel like I actually can breathe. I feel like there's like flow back in my life again. There's more intention, there's more clarity, there's more ambition, just focus. And in time, my next iteration of this journey will be, how can we reintegrate that together? Because I do see a reintegration happening in the future, just not right now, while we have to buckle down on some really important things and ask ourselves both some really important questions. I was holding him to a really high standard, and I realized, just as the law of shadow work goes, I needed to hold myself to those same standards. Like, I wrote a list of things, and I'm like, touche, brother, to myself, touche, brother. And so if I'm holding him accountable, he's holding himself accountable now. I gotta hold myself accountable. And already that redirective energy has just felt so good. You got you, I got me, I love you. We'll come together when our things are done. our priority right now is ourselves. And the thing about life is priorities ebb and flow, right? It depends on the day of the week. It depends on your to-do list. It depends on your marital status. It depends on what certain friends are going through in your field, what certain things are happening in your family. But you have a clear sense of what you're focusing on and what you're choosing. Because listen, if priorities ebb and flow all the time, you would never have a schedule. The way you can keep like your priorities in check is by knowing your values intimately. And for me, I've said this before, like top 3, they have to be humor, growth, and love. But at the same time, so growth, right? Growth to me is also about career and bravery and putting myself out there. And I'm always extremely mission and purpose driven. Everything I do feels like it's for something greater than me. And I truly want to make this world a better place with everything that I do. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that I'm going to need to shift things around sometimes if I don't feel like growth is happening. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like we weren't growing. I felt like we were stuck. I kept saying, I feel like the walls are coming in. And I'll explain how I even got to that like real realization, because it's kind of an interesting story in a different full conversation right here where I talk about like my greatest fears and things that I faced in that and what came through. And then of course, just the acknowledgement of my body and everything it was trying to tell me. But it felt like it was around the home. But to me, the home is the heart. And I was thinking, how can I separate the home or go backward? Like, I didn't even have the sense that you could like go backwards in a relationship. Although I feel like we're really moving forward now. But when you look at it like moving out, you're like, shit, like it's gonna fall apart. We have this has shown me what a partner I have too. There's no ego. He's fully empowered. He's like, this is for me. Like, this is so good. I feel like I've needed this too, actually. I didn't even know this was an option, but like, I love you. I feel closer to you than ever. I feel the exact same way. It's actually amazing. And if anybody else is navigating something like this in the world, I didn't know this was possible. You have to have 2 partners who are really on board, but, and it's hard. Listen, like it almost broke us, but here we are. And I just say both of you listen to your body and understand what you need and want. And then be structured and have uphold the structure and have one person uphold it too if you feel like that one person would do a better job at that. That was not me. So far so good. I just share all of this because I think it's just so interesting how different priorities pop up, especially if you've struggled with like codependency in the past. It can feel really hard to not put your partner at the very top of the list. And just know, like, of course, if there was something that was actually being demanded of you in the situation, you put your partner back on the list, like health or well-being or whatever needs to be done, right? I get that. We're human. But when it comes to just steady goals and maintenance of your life, like right now, I'm 29 years old. We're not married. I hope to be someday. But in this moment, no kids. I even used to say no plants. I do have a lot of plants now. No pets. All that I'm meant to be focusing on really is me. Like what I need and want out of this life. This is such a sacred time in my life to be selfish. And people always tell you that, like, this is your time to be selfish. Don't throw yourself out the window for all of these beautiful things that you have like right in front of you. You have the opportunity to work without interruptions. You have the opportunity to be a little brave, a little edgy. You have the opportunity to take some risks, both financially and even in your, fucking skydive. Like, you don't have kids on the line. Like, yeah, you have people who love you, but do the things, do the things, be brave. And I definitely was starting to hold myself back. And that can happen in relationship. We get in comfortable rhythm. So if you're like single or in between something and listening to this right now, just remember what a powerful, potent time this is for you to find your own rhythm and really maximize. Just maximize on this. Maximizing on your life is something I'm really into, and I've never said it like that, but when I say living a lit and luscious life, that's basically what I'm saying. Like, maximize the shit out of this one life. Like, I'm a maximalist when it comes to living, not decor. As you can see, I'm kind of rustic boho, like natural, kind of minimal. But everything else, go full send. Like, wear whatever you want, fucking go where you want, try a new job, move countries. Like, Jesus Christ, like, you have one life, what is going on? And I've always held myself to this standard, but I also have done a lot of hiding and being scared and putting other people way before me. And if I had one message, it's probably pour into yourself as much as you pour into others, at least. Because it's overflow when you pour into you. A few years ago, I trademarked the slogan, selfless self-care. And it's because I really do believe that self-care is the most selfless thing that you can do. I think of a lot of people in my life that raised me and otherwise, like, that just didn't pour into themselves, and they were depleted. They were in survival, they were snippy, they didn't have the emotional bandwidth, they couldn't be there for me in the ways I actually needed. They couldn't create a sense of safety, they couldn't create a sense of true connection, they couldn't see me, they weren't living their dreams and modeling that for me. Like, the most powerful thing you can do is pour into yourself so that your overflow, your radiance, your light is a safe space for others, and it's an inspiring place for others. That is all we can do in this life. And I've been saying this especially to women and women that I've coached for nearly a decade. Please, especially if you have kids, like, it feels crazy to pull back in terms of how much you're like over giving and trying to manage and handle everything for them. But if you pour into you, they benefit. Like, imagine your little girl, if you're a mom, a female, looking at you and thinking, my mom takes care of herself. She knows what she wants. She has boundaries. She even tells me, no, I need to take care of me right now. Do you know what that shows her? And do you know how safe that feels for her? Like, we owe every single person on this planet, the only thing we owe is to be the best version of ourselves and to be in our joy and to go after what we love and create that time for us. Seriously, like, to honor our bodies, I keep talking about this, to honor our yeses and our nos, to really be in tune and self-connected. What a world. Can you imagine if we all did that? Like, that's completely shifting our nervous systems from operating in fear, which is, even when we're pouring into others so much, we think we're being like a good person. We're literally, it's not. It's out of fear, it's out of survival, it's out of desperation, and that energy does not check out. That is not good. The people may benefit for a while, but ultimately it's not good or sustainable for either of you. So I wanted to actually tell a quick little story about that, which just came to mind. Once upon a time, after my first very codependent relationship that I was in when I was in high school, from the age of 13, yes, to 18, it was long distance. It was so dramatic. Like, he like dropped out of high school so he could work a full-time job so he could fly out to see me, and I was doing the same, but I was still going to high school. But then I did independent study my senior year so that I could manage all of that, and I was working like literally like 4 jobs, and it was just so intense and passionate and dramatic, and like all I was doing was living for him. I literally had countdown calendars on my phone, and every day I would look at them and like edit them and just be like, okay, only this amount of days, only 18 days until I can live again. It was insane. And that's what codependency honestly is. And I think you probably resonate with that. Like, that's a story, but if you're one of those people, you get that you're literally living for someone else. And you're like, maybe one day I'll do this for me. Maybe one day I'll get brave enough to, maybe one day, like, and then it never happens. That one day never happens unless you make a conscious change. You're like literally siphoning energy and love and life force from that person, and they're probably siphoning it from you. So I remember having this thing, and by the way, that could be like parent-child, that could be with anybody. It's often romantic, but it could look different from person to person and thing to thing. But so I was in this dynamic, and when that relationship ended, and it took the life out of me, not only because of the codependency, but from, like I said, from that person's end, there was also infidelity and all kinds of really, really intense, horrible things. And after that, I remember just like, okay, I'm obviously figuring out who I am and like how to flow in myself in this world and what it feels like, what the texture of me feels like. And I was so confused because I was so used to living for someone else that I remember I set a conscious decision in my mind, because I'd also really pulled back from my friendships during that relationship, because that's also what happens. You have like one person up here and everything else down here. I remember saying to myself, okay, I'm changing this. I'm changing the dynamic that I just had. I'm gonna give everything to my friendships. This was actually like my personal mantra at that time. I was 18 years old. I said, I'm gonna give my friends everything I have. I'm gonna pour everything into my friendships. Can you imagine? So let me show you what that looked like. That looked like me literally answering the phone at any hour for any person. That looked like me spending seriously hours and hours on the phone and with people, trying to fix their problems for them, trying to rescue them. That looked like people I barely even knew kind of getting the sense that I was gonna help them and rescue them, because people can feel that shit, let me tell you. Like, people are wise, and it might be more obvious than esoteric and energetic than I'm gonna make it sound, but sometimes it really is. You don't even say something and then the people just find you. You just radiate an energy that like, I am codependent and I will fix you and you can lean on me, and people will, and they will take that from you. And so, and you will give that to them. That's the problem. It's not them. You can't blame them. It's you, bitch. So I'm just sitting there radiating, I'll do anything for anyone. I'm desperate for a sense of connection and to understand myself, to reinforce my belonging in this world, basically. Because that's how I got belonging when I was a kid, and I had still not broken the pattern. And all of a sudden I have random girls from college that I barely knew, that when I was in school, they were like coming to my house and calling me in the middle of the night, and if I didn't answer, they'd call me back to back, and I'm suddenly everyone's rescuer, and everybody going through a breakup and the most fucked up things. Every bird with a broken wing was at my door, literally. And I was like, bruh. I give great advice, but no, it was totally unsustainable. And I was depleted, and I remember I actually got a lot of health issues from that. And I was in and out of urgent care, and my body was falling apart, and I was gaining a lot of weight, and it was just like literally physical weight, right? Like, you're taking on so much physical weight. Like I said, the body is not a coincidence. There's so much that it's trying to tell you just through what it's doing and its actions. Like, so that's another thing I keep saying to everyone. If you're going through something, ask the emotional, energetic root of things. Really, don't overlook that piece. So eventually I started to realize, okay, this isn't sustainable. My sleep is fucked up. My body is fucked up. These are not even the people I want to have in my circle. These are not the people that I want in my circle. And I finally got to the point where I realized not all connection is quality connection. Not all connection is quality connection. And as somebody who really has always valued connection, I started to have to snip away. And I was scared because I had spent a lot of my life feeling lonely and all I wanted was to belong. But I was like, no, I'm snipping away. I started snipping away for relationships, friendships, all these things that looked really even good in some ways to me. I just could feel that they weren't serving. I got really hardcore for a while. And I slowly started rebuilding community that felt actually aligned. And I started moving from a different place. I was addicted to positive affirmations. I'd listen to them in the morning and sometimes on walks. Every morning when I would get ready, like putting on my makeup, which also felt like kind of I'm not sure, like I'm wearing makeup right now and I wasn't in a lot of my other videos. Now I'm comfortable in my own skin, but for years I wasn't. So if I'm gonna be slapping something onto my face, I felt like, okay, I might as well counterbalance that with some positive affirmations, because all I used to do when I'd look in the mirror is pick myself apart. So much of this just came from not enoughness. And in the end, through gentle reinforcement, starting to meditate, starting to do yoga, take care of my body, eat nourishing, delicious, healthy foods, really started to like, yeah, spend time in nature, follow the pulse of my heart, get a little bit braver. I really felt like, yeah, I can connect with people in a different way. And I felt them feel that too. Just a whole different crowd started to come around me, and everything really changed. So discernment is a huge part of the practice too, but you got to reinforce yourself, right? You got to take that selfless self-care very seriously. You got to start pouring into you and your life and your heart, and then it will start to shift what comes around you. So if you're in that space right now where you're really pouring into others, maybe you set that conscious intention like me to give all of yourself to your friendships, or maybe you don't have that, like it's a little more subconscious, at least match that energy with pouring into yourself. As much as you give to them, give to you, and let that be a rule of thumb. And if you don't have time for both, looks like you're gonna have to cut back a little on how much time you're spending on them. You're gonna have to cut down the conversations a little bit. Maybe you're gonna have to stop showing up to as much, because you're gonna have time equal measure for you. And eventually you'll see that like what was this big in your field is somebody else's stuff. It becomes a little smaller. You gotta keep making it a little smaller. Okay, now you're taking up a little more space in the room, and now, okay, at least it's 50-50. And then maybe it's actually a little more than that. And then maybe you find that 50% that's in there, you're like, wait, I really am starting to care about myself so much that this person, I don't want this to take up 50% of my life. It's really got to be worth it for me. And then maybe it goes a little less, and then maybe it goes a little less. And then maybe somebody else comes in that really matters into your life, and you can give them a little bit more. But you're always at least as much as others. That's what it's got to be. There's no room for anything more. Anything more, you're in depletion. Anything more being in depletion is not serving that person, and it's creating a codependent dynamic. So I hope that helps. I hope that's something you can sit with. And I just want to thank anyone who's here for listening. And if you have questions, you can shoot me a message. You can write in the comments down here. I'm pretty active checking them right now. And I might be opening up sessions down the line. Right now they're closed. I'm at capacity, but I'll let you guys know. So you can check out my website, kimahagar.com. You can also, of course, subscribe to follow along for more. I'll be posting every day for the foreseeable future. And good luck to you. I hope you can take a little bit more time for yourself today. Thank you for watching this video. That's already great. I'll take at least one extra thing for you: a walk, a meditation, a bath, maybe even just not answering the call. I hope you have the most beautiful day.